This conference will now be recorded.
Commissioner Ayala,
Here.
Commissioner Hutchins,
Here.
Commissioner Cassidy,
Here.
Vice Mayor Hawes,
Here.
and Mayor Hughes.
Here, stand for Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty. Any additions or deletions to the agenda? All right, anybody make a motion?
Make a motion.
So moved.
So move, second?
Second.
All right, 7 minutes second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Public comment.
Come on, Terry.
New Terry 2.0. Christine Hassett, Salem Island. I just wanted to thank you guys. You're bringing in another budget for the landing. This is truly, I think, the most important job that you have as a commission. And you had a couple of bumps and a couple of hiccups, but it becomes easier and easier, I promise, sometimes. You can ask Jeff about that. Just applaud you guys and appreciate it. Not everybody understands the budget until they want to take it sideways, so I'm glad you guys are around to do it.
Thank you, Christine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Come on up. You're it.
Okay. Nicholas Harsadi, 60170 Old Ocean. Okay, just want to say I reviewed the budget. First of all, a couple of things that came across, which is really good for the city. First of all, we're going to get some money for some interest for the money we're putting in the bank. So we expect to get about $500,000. That's number one. Number two is I noticed that we're getting about 1 point something state grant this year.
Yeah, we're getting a grant. We got a grant.
2 grants.
Two
Which we
grants.
never got before. Thank you for the interest. Anyway, but the only concern I had was, I noticed, I look at on page 7, I looked at the line item for regular salary and wages. And I noticed they went up by 16.5%, which is kind of really high. It's on page 7.
I don't,
I don't have a seven.
You may have a
Seven.
different, you may have something different than us.
I just downloaded from the,
What's it say across the top, the upper
okay,
right?
it is saying budget report for Town of Ocean Ridge and calculation as of 9/30/2025. And it is, yeah, it is right there. 1.803, it went up by almost $300,000 to 2,099. So if you take the 2,099 and divide it by 1.803, you get 16.5%. If my calculations are correct. And I went back and looked at the prior year also, and we noticed every year we had 5%, 6%, something like that. But this is a big jump there by 16.5% when CPI is only less than 4%.
Okay.
can you comment
One
on
other
that, Lynn? What
comment.
page are we on? Because our page is
And yours is page 53. He's looking at the law enforcement,
page
wages.
53.
page 53 of 102.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, my last comment is regarding the capital expenditure. I noticed we had almost 3 million sitting there before. And the general fund now being moved to the capital expenditure.
Right.
Plus whatever we have extra this year. Has any of those items been approved yet? I'm just wondering, any of the items that were on this, like the road paving and other things came across. I see it that has not been approved, but, I had here on page 55, there is a list of them as raising access to existing water system, and it goes on to talk about all this capital improvement. And I'm wondering if they have been approved or not. but-
Well, they're working on it.
Okay.
We have
Yeah.
750 in the budget for pipes.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and some other items.
No, 125.
125.
125, because we,
125, yeah. And we also had
Paving
some
is
for
not
the
in
fire
there, we've got all the
hydrants.
other items.
Yeah, okay. I was just wondering, because it was not approved, and I wasn't sure if this budget proposal is going to be having some of those as being approved.
I know we don't usually respond, but I mean, the pay on the police, that's not per person, that's not like for like. There's a different number of officers in the pay for this year, so it looks like a bigger increase than it is. I'm just commenting on that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you.
Yeah, we've unfrozen 2 lieutenants' positions, which are at higher salary, which is why it's skewing how much police salaries are going up year over year.
We'll just have more headcount also, so, you know, it's total pay.
Good enough?
That's all.
Thank you. All right. Closing public comment, back to the commission. All right. On you, Lynn.
Presenting to you the tentative budget. Overall budgeted expenditures are 13,551,484. This is calculated at 5.4 mils, which is the same mill rate as last year, and assuming a 97.5 collection rate for ad valorem taxes. A utilization of reserves of 103,988 to balance the budget. Changes from the last workshop was the increase in contingency to account for substantial increase in infrastructure capital projects, updated the salaries for non-sworn officers, and updated the reserve line item to 103,988. Now, during the one-on-ones with the commissioners, I had a couple of you ask if there was a way that we could reduce the amount that we are using of cash reserves. I have provided to you each, you should have a packet in front of you. The areas that, if that is what you want to do, you can make some reductions. Considering the request to review the budget where we could revise general fund expenditures to reduce the amount of cash reserves, possible line item areas to reduce expenditures are in Department 514, legal, which is on page 76 of 102 in your budget. Reduce the legal special counsel from 122.5 to 100,000. Or reduce in Department 524, inspections and building on page 60 of 102 in your budget. Regular salaries from 81,999 to 59,424. Or lastly, reduce contingency on page 76 of 102 in the budget binder. No, that's the wrong page. Contingency is page 76, so legal must be wrong.
But it,
Legal is page.
So it doesn't matter, we know what it's.
Okay,
So Linda,
So-
is the purpose of that, do you then get it down to kind of break even where we don't have to use any surplus? Is that what you're doing?
$8,900.
we would be just about $8,100. 8,913 would still be the utilization of cash reserves. Now, to give you an idea of what these do, the special legal fees previously were 183. Christie reached out to get sort of a idea from our special counsel and the special magistrate what they thought the costs were going to be, which is that 122,500. So if we reduce this, it could negatively impact the budget if we, for some reason, have a need for all of the planned special counsel. If we reduce contingency by 50,000, that could potentially negatively impact some of our planned projects and or necessary repairs. Contingency are those things that we aren't planning for. We've had multiple line breaks this year above and beyond the ongoing ARPA project, which is why we had increased it as much as we did. And then the reduction of salary line items under inspections and buildings. This would actually require a reduction in force, eliminating the temporary or the part-time person at the front desk if we reduced any budget in buildings and inspections.
that's what that difference is. That's eliminating that position.
Yes, that's the difference in buildings and inspections.
And we've had
Elimination of
a
that
substantial reduction in the
Permit.
revenue and permit.
Yeah.
So that would make a certain amount of sense to me.
Can I ask a question? So regarding like the bottom line, basically. Have you accounted yet for the land acquisition that has to be adjusted?
That would, the adjustment would have to come out of contingency, which is why, after our discussions with Ryan, I'm not sure we want to reduce contingency to make it lower than the 500,000 that we have budgeted.
Well, so the issue is the $200,000 grant that we got, the FERDAP grant. The other one's the $1,050,000, which was the land acquisition through Florida Communities Trust. This other one for $200,000 is to purchase the smaller parcels. It is a 50-50 match. So if we include that 200 in our revenue, we have to have a land acquisition expense of 400, and right now it's at 225.
Our land acquisition.
So our net cost will be half of the cost of that property.
Well, wouldn't it be, that would assume, if it's 225, that would mean it would be a 450 property, right? If we're only paying 225.
Well, the grant is only up to 200. And
You mean they only give us 50% on the amount up to 200?
Up to
So we can only
200,
get 100
correct.
grant?
The most the land acquisition cost could be is 400, which we don't think we think it's below that. But my point is the numbers have to work, and right, the way it's written now, they don't, so,
But we can get up to 200,000 of a grant,
yeah.
Yes.
just as long as the purchase price is 400.
The
or
purchase
more.
price has to be
So if the
400,
purchase
not
price is 380,
225.
we get 190.
Yes.
Yeah.
No. If the purchase price is,
It's
yeah,
380,
yeah,
is it
sorry, yeah.
So aren't we assuming we're gonna spend 200 on
We were assuming it would be about 280 based on a square foot basis compared to the Priest property.
Which I think still should be negotiated.
No, but we've got a
Yeah.
280, we have a 280 hour cost that's in the budget.
No, we don't.
No, we've got a 280 total
225.
cost.
280, assuming we get half back?
No, it's a 225 is the number you have in there right now for the total cost of the property.
So what I'm trying to say, I guess not very eloquently, is 225 should cover it if we think we can get it for less than $400,000.
Yes.
Our cost will
Yeah.
be less than 225.
But if
But we
it's,
have
but
a
if
budget
it's,
for
but if
both
it's
sides.
225, we can't have 200 in the revenue line. It's only 50% of the 225. That's my point. It's a 50-50.
No, I think I disagree with you. I think that as long as we have at least 200 in our revenue line, because that assumes 400 is purchase price.
Right.
So if we have 200, then we can have 200
We
as
can
the
have
revenue
that.
that comes from them.
Yeah.
Right? So are you saying we have 225 in the revenue line and that?
No, we
Can
have
never be that much?
225 in the purchase price line,
And they're gonna pay half.
and
So
they're
we're gonna have
paying
leftover
half.
money.
So if it's 225, they're only paying 112.
But it's not going to be, okay. But we think it's going to be more than that.
Yes.
But in any event, 225 is way more than we're going to have as our expense. I'm saying we should only be budgeting for how much our net cost is, shouldn't we?
No, not if
We
we
have
have
to budget
200
both
revenue.
sides. We have to budget for the revenue to come from them and then to expend that revenue and our share.
It's not going to cost us 50% of the purchase price.
I got it. But, so how much do you have in the revenue, how much do you have in the revenue piece, Lynn? Are you saying?
200.
I've got 200
That's from the grant.
Okay,
from the grant.
It's going to be a max of 200.
That's
So
all
that
in
only
from
works
the
if we
grant,
have 400 for a purchase
Yes.
price.
But we're only getting 200 if we're spending 4.
So is this kind of a negotiating?
It's an accounting issue, and then it's also going to
Well,
be
it's
a
kind of more than
negotiating.
yeah, it's more than an accounting issue. It's kind of a negotiating issue too.
And
I mean,
But we know we got enough money in the budget. By the way, I'm kind of
I'd leave it
contrary.
at 225 in the.
Yeah, I don't have a
expense
problem
side.
with having 103,000 pulled out of reserves because, like, let's look at the police force. What are we, 1 month away from October 1?
Mhm.
There's no way you're gonna have a lieutenant by October 1, right? So there's these various moving pieces that we already know are going to throw money back at us at the close of the budget.
Well, and the question is, do we put it in the budget to take money out of the surplus, or do we lower that and then just take a motion to take it out of the surplus? What's the difference? I mean,
Correct.
Yeah, the thing is,
you end up in the
it's
same place.
6 and 1, half dozen the other.
Either it comes back to us at the end of the year or we take it now.
There
Well, what
are
about-
some moving parts that we're covering with our contingency, and we don't know how those are going to play out. We have collective bargaining, we have a bunch of stuff that's going on. And so we're trying to be careful on, the way we're budgeting for all that, but I think 103 is pretty close. So.
Well, what about the 3 things Lynn mentioned on her?
The inspections, the building inspections, I think we should reduce that.
Well, I mean, why have staff we're not using? That's.
Yeah.
Right.
The glasses. And one more time with this legal,
Christie, do you think that's a reasonable
That's
reduction?
Is that-
in
Special legal
Swing.
counsel, that
But
is
another
the
swing.
special magistrate, and that's any that we pay out for current ongoing,
but why don't we take the
Legal
22 grand?
So that's kind of a guess anyway.
Right. So why not to take 22 grand out and it looks even better in the bottom line?
but are we then going to?
What?
I guess my question is, Carolyn's right, we would need to have another 175 in cash coming out of our fund balance to go to capital projects, to balance the capital project, which will eventually be somewhere 400,000 or less.
So I disagree with that. What Carolyn's saying is mathematically correct, that the numbers don't really make sense the way we have them. But there are more issues at play here than just whether the numbers work. We also have a negotiation that we've got to go into, so I would leave it exactly the way it is. And if it turns out that we, have to spend more in order to get it, then we just take care of that through a surplus allocation. Why would we hurt ourselves in negotiation by padding the amount that we put in our budget? I don't see the sense.
Well, then I think we should reduce the revenue side. I mean, it's just, it looks like they're paying for the whole thing. The grant's paying for the whole thing.
I don't think, I'm kind of okay with the way it is, because I think if we predict the way it's going to play out, it'll probably end up being pretty close. But we're talking about a $13 million budget, and right now we're arguing about $103,000 of surplus. I mean, one thing I can tell you for sure is our budget's wrong. It's not going to be right. I mean, so how much time do we want to argue about $103,000? I mean, we're going to move a little bit of surplus around one way or the other. I mean, we can keep talking.
I'm fine with however the commission chooses to move forward, whether we rebalance the capital or whether we reduce what we're doing in fund balance appropriated, if we reduce the amount that we've allocated in grant revenues.
Well, how about if we reduce the revenues to 150 and then the cost would be 300, which we don't think it will be that much, but it's closer to what we think it should be.
Yeah, that,
It is.
then that throws us out of whack on the total budget.
What picture?
Well, we're out of whack on the budget because it's not
Only by 103, yeah.
accurate.
Right, page 2.
But it's just that there's a lot of moving parts that we don't know how they're gonna land yet.
But when we know we should be right where we know we can be right.
I don't know if I agree with that if there's other areas where we think there's gonna be, leftover funds. That's all I'm saying. If we screw it down too tight, and that doesn't leave us with any wiggle room on some of the other areas.
We're not supposed to talk about this.
All right, what's the pleasure of the commission on
If you-
this? I
if
mean, I think we're kind of, what difference if we take it out and take it out of the revenue side? So we reduce the revenue by that much, we're gonna have to balance the budget.
That would tell us that what we'd have to do, Carolyn, is take our contingency down to 200. And I don't want to take our contingency down to 200 because I think there's some things that are going to happen potentially that could cost us money. See what I'm saying? I mean,
I say leave everything as is.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem.
So basically,
it'll end up moving around a little bit in the final analysis, but I think it's going to end up being about right.
I would be stunned if you don't have money coming back.
Yeah.
Did
All
you
right.
want to make any of the legal or the inspection cuts, since you decided you
I
don't
would
want to
do
make
the
any changes to
inspection one for sure.
contingency?
Yeah, I
oh, the
agree.
inspection one, I mean, if we don't need now this is the receptionist position?
The executive or the administrative assistant to the building department and public works, which sits at the front desk.
We're basically saying we're going to do a reduction in force in that department because we've got a reduction in work. Makes sense.
Correct.
Okay,
And when the position was put in place, it was a different composition.
It was a different
Right.
composition. We had different people.
Yeah.
We were still an unknown period of time away from automating all of our systems.
We had our
And
own guy, too.
Software's
Software is being implemented in January or December. And we're down from a turnaround of, we had 140 outstanding permits when the commission made the decision to move forward with that. And on average, we have roughly 20 permits at all the stages. So it's been a significant reduction.
All right, well, it seems an appropriate thing to do. We don't need the position, let's get rid of the position. And we can always change our minds a year from now, 2 years from now, if we got a
Well,
building.
if the workload changes, then we adjust appropriately,
Right.
like every other government or business.
So what about the legal department? I mean, 22,500 seems like,
I would defer that to Christie.
Yeah, I'd like to hear what Christie has to say.
So the cost that's really at issue is for outside counsel. And as you know, in the past, we've had some pending litigation. The estimate that we got was from outside counsel, given what's out there. Obviously, it's kind of an unknown. And the way a lot of municipalities deal with this is you might have to make a budget amendment if you get hit with something that you weren't anticipating.
let's make a nice round number, 100 grand.
Do we accrue for
Pick
that?
22,500.
We're trying to predict how much we're actually gonna outlay this year.
Correct.
Oh, it's outlay? So it's, who knows?
You know, you have no idea.
Because if things could get delayed and.
What is it, 22?
Well, yeah, you.
That's
you know, you
22.5.
could lose lawsuit and next
So right now we're at
Yeah,
45,000.
So it just really
I'll take that.
depends on what happens in the legal landscape.
I'll leave the contingency.
Are you uncomfortable with moving to 100?
No.
Okay, there you go.
There you go.
All right, so 1 and 2. Lynn,
So we're down to
Christie, do they need
59,
to vote
we're
on
down to
that?
59 grand.
59.9.
All right, so who wants to make a motion?
I'm not.
So moved. I move that we do the first two things and get down to 59.9. With the full knowledge that we're gonna have to adjust it later.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, second. Any other comment? Any public comment? Hearing none? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right.
The last thing.
You beat that up pretty good.
Yep, the last thing for discussion is finalizing the lobbyist budget. We did receive 3 proposals. I believe I gave everybody copies of the meetings, except for Commissioner Ayala.
Can I speak to TSE for a minute?
Yep.
So when we went for our appropriations last year, and I was up in Tallahassee, we had great support from our representative, our senator. And I was warned that not having a lobbyist, chances were slim, and that was correct. I reached out to, before the annual conference for the league, I reached out to a friend who was a former county commissioner, and I met with her up in Hollywood at our conference. And she introduced me to Candace Eriks, who is the E of TSE Consulting. It's Tripp Scott Eriks. And we subsequently had a phone call and then talked to Lynn about it. And then Lynn had the opportunity to meet her, and so did Lisa Trapeppi, and they know each other. And they put together a great proposal. We had the opportunity to look at it for $36,000, which is very reasonable and close to what we were budgeting. So
So
I
this is who you're
strongly
recommending?
advocate
What did we have budget?
30.
We had initially
We had
budgeted
30.
Yeah.
But
we
the
got a
two
proposal
the
for like
two-
a really big
We were
one.
looking
Well, that
at-
was
we were
Gray
looking at 60.
Robinson, and Gray Robinson is fabulous. They did a great presentation at the conference, talked to some of those people, but it's 60,000.
Yeah.
And Politicom, no one's, I'm sure they're working on developing a reputation, but no one really knows much about them yet. TSE is, has got a great reputation working with municipalities in South Florida. They have people in Tallahassee and here, and they're willing to come in and meet with us tomorrow. So
They got a nice proposal. Lynn, you're supportive of it, right?
Yes,
Carolyn, you are.
Yeah.
I'm all for it then.
And they're very
too.
excited to work with us too.
Yeah, it's not motivated, so that's good.
so all we need to do now is decide whether we're budgeting more because we'll make the decision at the next meeting on who we hire. We just wanted to make sure that we had enough budgeted in this meeting, which we do. Because I can take the other 6 out of IT and hardware upgrades for the year, and we'll just a couple computers and printers and things that we won't get otherwise, but it won't alter the budget
Thanks,
substantially.
sounds good to me.
Okay, sounds good.
Yep.
Lynn, can I ask a question
Yep.
that's not kind of on this year's budget, but kind of looking forward? So you and I talked in the one-on-one, I want to make sure that I'm in sync on this. we've got $1,250,000 or something that's coming in revenue from grants this year, right?
Yes.
What's the associated expense that's aligned with that? We were just talking about a piece of it, but
The first grant that we're receiving is $1,054,000. I don't remember the last three. It's like either 808 or 924, something like that. That is reimbursement for 80% of the cost that the town spent.
70%.
70% of what the town spent purchasing the Priest property in FY '22. It's a reimbursement grant. The remainder is the FERDAP grant to purchase the additional, which is up to $200,000, depending upon how much we spend. Sorry.
Yeah.
So the funds, unless we spend less than $400,000, all of the grant funds will be expended for the projects that they were coming in. One has already been completed, the other is forward looking.
what I'm trying to figure out is on a run rate. So this year we put in 1.25 million towards pipes, which is great. It would be great if we could sustain that going forward. But it sounds like next year, our revenue will drop by about $1.2 million.
Yep.
But our associated expense is only going to drop by a few $100,000. So the $1.25 million that we put away drops to like 300 or 400. But then we've got the loan payments that are on the two loans that we got.
Yes, we have the SRF loan and the town hall swap loan, both that expire in
26.
either the end of FY '25 or early FY '26.
I thought there was 2 different years involved.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're close, but right around the same.
And the
So when
total of
those drop
those,
off, then it pops back up, we would get back to where we'd have at least $1.25 million, plus any increases in tax revenue.
Plus any other grants or state appropriations that we may be successful in.
For sure, but
From our
I'm
lobby.
trying to think what we can count on, and I'm trying to get myself comfortable that it's not like this is only 1 year where we're gonna be able to put
No, we're gonna
money
have,
towards the
we're gonna
budget.
have to do it. So
Yeah.
if we have no additional revenues, no additional grants, we're just gonna have to make the tough decision.
Yeah, but
But-
what I'm saying is I think it feels like we'll be able to be at least the $1.25 million level, maybe with a little bump next year, down, and without doing anything extraordinary.
yes.
And then if we go out and get financing or whatever, we'll figure out if that covers the debt service or if we have to raise taxes or whatever. But that gives me some comfort that we're kind of at a scale point now where we can cover most of our costs pretty well and still have room for making capital expenses in about the $1.2 million range or something, which feels pretty good. I mean, that's not going to solve the whole problem, but it gets us partway there.
Correct.
All right, what's next?
And that's all we have. Unless any of you have any other changes or things that you want to discuss about the budget, that wraps up everything going into the preliminary tentative hearing this evening. The only other thing, I don't know whether you want to discuss it now or in tonight's meeting, but our final budget hearing is scheduled for September 23rd.
Let's do that now.
I've been informed that Mayor Pugh will not be in town on the 23rd, and Commissioner Ayala may not be available as well. The budget does require a 4/5 vote, meaning we need 4 members, like requires a 3/5, which requires 4 of our 5 members to be present for the budget.
Is that to be
I thought I could
present?
vote,
Still
I
the-
thought I could vote by phone.
Is that?
No, you
can
gotta be
you
there
vote
to
budget by
vote.
phone?
No, you can attend, but you cannot vote.
I didn't think that was true. I thought we decided we could vote.
Right, because the Attorney General changed it.
I've got to check, I don't believe, I'm gonna double check make sure that under chapter 200, which covers your budget and millage, there's no special requirements, but as long as you have a quorum physically present, if there's special circumstances that you cannot be here for the meeting, you could participate by phone as long as there is a quorum physically present. I gotta double check for budget and millage just to make sure that doesn't require an actual physical presence. But
So what
Are
can
you
we,
saying he can vote if he's on the phone?
I'm going to see my 91-year-old mother, so unless you guys all want to call and tell her, I can't go because you don't want me to.
Well, is there
I'm going.
is there some other time that you can
well,
make
wait,
it work?
I can't work.
what's as soon as we can have the
That's
next
time I
meeting?
gotta go to my 91.
As soon as we could have the next meeting, it'd be Friday night at 6 PM.
This Friday at 6 PM?
Yes,
How many of us are going to be missing? 2 of us?
2, and we need
Well,
4 of you to vote affirmative for the
What about
budget. to
Monday the
pass the final
16th?
budget.
I
What
think,
was the date?
I think we can-
23rd?
Originally, it's the
Yeah, we're
23rd.
going to have the 23rd. What about Monday the 16th?
are you going to be able to figure out
that's when Einer's away, I thought.
When does he leave? Ainer, when do you leave?
Yeah, I think we're gonna be there by phone. I'm gonna be in Napa Valley.
Oh, I'm not,
Monday.
On Monday the 16th.
How about the
I'm flying
13th?
in on the 16th.
What about Friday the 13th?
I can't do that.
Is that this week?
Yeah, it's this week.
I got a wedding,
You getting married again?
Pittsburgh. I'm going to Pittsburgh. Joy is.
Can we do this? I mean, if it turns out that one of us can be on by phone, then we're okay. And I think the answer is that one of us can be on by phone. I don't know what the downside to that would be.
Well, if you're not here the 16th and there's 4 of us are going to be, when are you getting back from your wedding?
I'm not
The
here.
16th.
So you want to do it,
Obviously, I don't know when the flight is. I only have it.
we want to do Tuesday the 17th?
Yes, sure.
How's that work for you, Dave? How about you, Karen?
I should
The
be good.
17th?
Yeah, Tuesday the 17th.
My son's birthday, but hold on a sec. What time are you?
That way it'd be 4 of us.
It can't be earlier than 6 PM in the
Issues,
evening.
so
No, but
It
see,
can't be earlier than 6?
Budget rules require that it be no earlier than 6.
Do we know when the school board's meetings are?
Yes, because I have them on my calendar. School board had their first one,
Can't be before 6.
the school board had their first meeting, yeah. They had their the school board had their final on September 4th.
Okay.
okay, so what about Tuesday, 6
the
o'clock,
county?
17th?
Works for me.
Counties are later.
What?
Sorry, when is the county doing their meetings?
Yeah. But that requires 4 of us, that 4 of us have to be here.
We think, we're not sure about that.
Let's just say, but that'll be the requirement.
All right, so
So
4 of us will be here on Tuesday, the 17th at 6 o'clock. Can we do that?
I'm bringing Timmy. I'll bring a cake.
I mean,
How about you, Lynn?
I'll call
Tuesday,
in.
17th, I'm fine.
All right, so,
I'll call in, but I don't think there's any controversy.
well,
I
there's
think
4 of us, you
everything's
don't even
up.
need to do that.
There's no controversy, it's just the numbers that have to be and then have to vote affirmative for the budget in order for it to legally pass.
Okay, so it's Tuesday at 6 PM, 9/17/24. Okay, we good? Everybody's good?
Yeah.
And if you want to call in, you can call in, you can say hello.
And what time are we gonna do that one?
6 PM.
6 PM. All right,
Yeah, in lieu of the 23rd.
yeah. All right, is there anything else? Hearing nothing else, let's adjourn till 6 o'clock tonight. Glad you guys came so quick.